like very fickle, very fragile muscles that basically open and close every 100 times per second, sometimes, if not a few hundred times per second. And so if they are dry, and if you don't do the hydration work, then you're going to eventually end up rubbing two muscles together that are really dry, and that's not going to be good for your voice. So please do me a favor, and whenever you do want to practice your voice, be sure to drink water. Another thing is, a common misconception is that drinking water just hydrates them immediately. That is totally untrue. The water that you drink will not touch the vocal folds. It will actually go directly to your stomach. So because the vocal folds are in the passageway leading to the lungs, you kind of understand why we haven't evolved to have the water touch our vocal folds. Okay? So at least when you have drank the water, make sure to wait about 15 minutes so that the hydration process is fully done, that the water has been distributed by your body to your vocal folds, and thus your voice is hydrated and ready to work. Now, the second thing I want to do, as I said, is warm our voice up. So warming the voice does entail to do some exercises. These warm-up exercises are not meant to make you push your voice out and beyond your range. No, it's more about getting the vocal folds to vibrate gently a little bit so that they can start bringing the water, the hydration that I was talking about, and some nutrients, and just generally kind of like wake up and increase the blood flow to those, to that voice part. Sorry, I'm a bit tired here. So yeah, that's all you need to know. Now, about those warm-ups, what are they exactly and how do we do them? So first of all, I need to explain why we do those vocal warm-ups, right? You might be like, well, Savvy, can I just not just use my voice? To that I say, yeah, but there's more efficient ways to do this. All right, so voice functions really simply. You have air in your lungs, right? I'm going to take a color like this. You have air in your lungs, right? And you push that air up. Once that air pushes up, it reaches the larynx. It's right behind your Adam's apple, okay? The bump on your neck. And so in that area, you'll find the vocal folds that will vibrate thanks to the air that you have given to them. And so you've provided the air, the vocal folds start to vibrate, and then the sound reverberates in the filter, the resonance chamber. We call this the resonance or the vocal tract. And this is really important for gendered components of the voice. But I'll get back to that in a little bit. So, as I have said, the air only comes from below the Adam's apple, below the vocal folds, right? So that means that you always have a pressure coming from below, but never a pressure that comes from above. And so that means that your vocal folds are always vibrating like this, and, you know, like, they have to work with that pressure. And that's normal, right? Like, unless you're speaking by breathing in like this, which you're probably not going to want to do in a million years, or it's not bad, but it's just kind of funny and weird. You're going to want to do those exercises, those softies. And what do? Well, we kind of create a sort of closure, actually a semi-occlusion to be more precise, that will basically kind of create a pressure around the mouth area and kind of help us counteract the pressure from the lungs. And so the vocal folds that are now have the pressure from above and from below can now vibrate much more gently and can thus help us warm up our voice much easier. That's the technical aspect of things, but let's get to the practical. What are some of these occlusions that you can use? Some of these occlusions are O sounds, like ooh, you know, your lips are rounded, and they kind of take the way, they kind of like prevent the airflow to go as freely as on an ah sound, for example, where the mouth is really open. Now, if you do something like a Z sound, as in zoo, zzz, then you have your tongue and your teeth in the way, which creates also a stronger occlusion. You might also have already heard or seen exercises such as just humming, because then instead of putting the air through the mouth, you're putting it through the nose. And even if it looks like a bigger space, the nostrils are overall a smaller space at the end. So a hum also helps to kind of create that counter pressure. So let's try this together. I'm going to do a warm-up and I'll count to 3, and you're allowed to mute for that, by the way. I'll count to 3 and then I'll let you do it, okay? So, first warm up on an O sound. Let's go. Oh, and you go in 3, 2, 1. Yeah. And back down. Okay, good. Awesome. That's for the O sound. Feels kind of nice, right? All right, let's try a different sound. Let's try a Z sound. Z. I'm going to do it, and then you do it. So. And you go in 3, 2, 1. All right, very good. Good job. Now that's the warm-up that you can be expected to do. Sometimes you might also want to do something like just gentle scales, like if you want to like make the process a little less strenuous, if you're like struggling at higher pitches, right? It's always a good idea to kind of like go all over your range, but do try to do it gently, right? The point here is not to strengthen the voice, but more so to warm it up. Okay? All right, all good. Now, I'll talk a little bit really quickly. There's another safety and health concern that I didn't raise up, and that's linked directly to the hydration of the vocal folds, or more so to how dry the vocal folds can become. Some of you out here might take spironolactone or other types of medications that can be drying to the voice. So be sure that when you are going to do some voice work, don't do it right after taking that medication, or kind of like try to work around the effect of that medication, because it can kind of make the voice work a bit more difficult. It doesn't prevent you from doing it, mind you. You can work your voice in any setting, really. But if you have that medication and you know that it has somewhat of a strong effect on your voice, then be aware of your limits and be aware to kind of like work around it. Of course, if you drink alcohol or if you drink coffee, those are also very dehydrating to the voice, so you might also want to avoid them before practice. You can always drink one after the practice, okay? The general rule of thumb is you do whatever you want with your life and your body, so make sure you drink plenty of water and try to avoid episodes where your voice might be dried out because of reasons. Okay, all good. So that's all the talk about plenty of water to make. Now, really quickly, I mentioned reasons. This is how we understand breathing. Actually, a bit more intimate. Very simply put, we have air. We push that air up to the Adam's apple or the larynx. Then you have some vocal folds are like this. They kind of open and close really quickly, and they kind of like do this, okay, really quickly. And that produces a sound, right? We call this sound the source sound. And once the sound is produced, it will then reverberate in this space, the vocal tract. You might also have heard the word resonance. This is what it refers to. And this allows us to have either a really big space or a really small space, which really warps and changes the way we can use our voices. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And yeah. So, okay, no need for this. We'll talk about this later. So now, I'll be taking someone up on stage who preferably has not been on stage before and who wants to learn to feminize their voices. Who might be interested? Please raise your hand if you are, or jump in place if you want to move up on stage. Don't worry, I don't bite. Yeah. So I see some fella here. That's the only person I see. Okay, some fella, come up on stage. Come on. Applause for some fella. Alright, you can come closer. Yeah. Alright, how you doing, some fella?
I'm doing okay.
Hello, welcome. Alright, so we got 10 minutes starting from now. Alright, let's go. Alright, so some fella or some, whatever it is. What do you already know about voice, and have you already done some work on your voice prior to this workshop?
Yeah, I've practiced raising my resonance like so to sound like this. I'm not very confident in how it sounds though.
Okay, so this is already pretty promising. I'm hearing like, if I may be allowed to mimic your voice, so like I kind of like hear like this kind of voice, which is like kind of like a lower pitch for a feminine voice, but like it's already in the bright spot. There is some hiccups where like maybe your resonance or your pitch might drop a little bit. That's kind of what I'm hearing. So what I'm hearing from your voice is you're already like on a good path to get your voice that you desire. Although I do have to ask, what exactly kind of voice do you aim for? Do you want a more lower kind of femme voice? A more medium kind of femme voice? Or like a much higher pitched femme voice? Kind of like, what's your end goal?
So, I mean, somewhere like medium or low, but to me right now it doesn't really sound like I'm doing a real girl voice. It sounds
Okay.
like I'm just trying to do one, so...
I understand that. Okay, so voice dysphoria is a real thing. Actually, I wonder, like, how do you feel about like voice dysphoria? Like, well, how do you feel when you use your voice? I know some people have no problem doing like this voice and then this voice or whatever, but I understand that voice is also a very strong part of our identity, right? So it can be a bit difficult at times. So where do you kind of sit there?
I mean, honestly, when I talk in this voice, it's not very dysphoric unless I'm actually trying to look like a girl, and then all of a sudden I see myself in a girl outfit, and I talk like this, and that makes me feel bad. And then...
I totally understand you. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I suppose it's kind of like that queer experience, that like in between experience, that kind of like maybe, you know, I'm not saying, you know, but like it's kind of like internalized transphobia or, you know, kind of like sexism. And that's okay. You know, like we all are dealing with our own demons when it comes to dysphoria and how we see voice. So it's really important that you start to see voice for what it is. It's just a bunch of vocal qualities. There's resonance, you have pitch, you have vocal weight, really thin vocal weight, really thick vocal weight. And to me, gender and voice doesn't really make sense. It's more like a bunch of boxes that you kind of like check, like bright resonance check, high pitch check, you know, kind of like that stuff. And I understand that there's also the thing of like, you have been speaking like this for like your entire life. Not that this is your voice, right? But if like you speak for this like 90% of the time, right? Like you might only be thinking, okay, if I do a voice like this, then it's just like a fake voice that I put on sometimes, you know. There's a really strong bias, you know, like a psychological bias where we're like, okay, I sound like this 90% of the time, and then I sound like this 10% of the time. So there's kind of a clash in your brain, right? Like you understand that you are doing something different, but you can't help but attribute it to a cartoonish voice or a fake voice or someone who's trying to do a voice. This is something that you have to get used to, right? Unfortunately. And I mean, like, in all honesty, when I got this voice, I didn't feel like I sound femme, right? I was like, okay, like this is not a femme voice. And then I used it for 1 month. It was weird. 2 months, it was less weird. And 3 months, like, how did I not see this from the start, you know? And it takes a bit of learning. And of course, there might be some hiccups in your voice, not literal hiccups, of course, but as I stated before, like where your resonance might drop a little bit or where your pitch might drop a little bit. And those are definitely areas of work that we can be working on. And yeah, so that was a big tangent just to explain that, hey, dysphoria is real. Don't let dysphoria hide from you what your current voice progress is. Okay? It's just a voice.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So let's see what we can do. I think that I want to see. No, not this one. Yes. Okay, I think I want to see and rather hear what you can do with your voice. So, what's the method that you use to set up your voice, fella?
Well, I do some... I push up my resonance doing some voiceless exercises, like trying to make an sound, an S sound, while trying to raise my pitch, and then I just like EH.
Interesting.
And then try to push it up.
Okay, so if I understand correctly...
without any voice, and then I try to introduce voice into that and then speak from there.
So you said S sound and S sound. I kind of heard both. So are you doing something
sorry,
like
I meant I must have misspoke.
okay, yeah.
Like
No worries. So do you make sure that you keep the S sound from start to finish, or does it turn into an ah in the middle, or?
I try my best to keep it at an eh.
Good. Okay, so let's try this together. I assume you start something like this. And then what do you say? Good.
And then I read something like, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That's amazing. Okay, that's so good. Wow. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. That's so solid. Awesome. Yeah, okay. Can you keep it up? Can you go ahead and read the next one?
The crowbar opened the subpar car. The store doors
Okay, good.
more on the 4th floor. The new you is no taboo. You grew, it's true.
The new you is no taboo.
Snow flamingos eat kilos of tomato risotto.
Nice.
Thus acting sus, they made a fuss in the bus.
Oh, good.
Egg with bread. This squished
Good.
fish wished for glitched pitch.
That's a weird one, don't worry.
She sees the serene sea, feeling free. The nerd misheard the bird's slurred words.
Wow, okay. What are you worried about in your voice? That was really good. I was like struggling to hear what would be an issue. If I have to be really nitpicky, maybe the E sound maybe was darker than the rest, but like, and maybe like the intonation was a bit flat, but the resonance is there. You're like at a high pitch range. I don't hear masculine components, or rather masculinizing components in your voice. So yeah, that's it, right? I think that we don't even really need to work on resonant sounds. Although I do want to see if you can make the E sound a little bit brighter. Can you try and give me that sentence once more?
She sees the serene sea, feeling free.
Okay, very good. Nice. So like there's a thing of like, I know that you had like a super like, that mad rat sat on a flat mat, and now you're kind of like here, she sees the serene sea feeling free. So you went from she sees the serene free. So you're at lower pitch, but it's still in a fem range, you know, like I'm not hearing a drop or a conflation between your pitch and your resonance. When your pitch goes down, your resonance stays up. So that's really good. So yeah, honestly, very good stuff. Now, I want to see if we can make it more natural, right? Your main issue is, hey, Savvy, this doesn't sound, it sounds like it's fake, like it's not natural to me. So let's try and read some normal sentences with that, or like sentences that you might be saying in a conversation. So try to please read that first one and pretend that you're talking to me.
Okay. Hello. Good morning. How are you?
Nice, very good. Hello, good morning. How are you? Maybe that last one, you. Maybe that was like a little bit low in pitch. So you can try, how are you? Maybe like a little bit less low. Give it a try.
Okay. Hello. Good morning. How are you? Oh, I messed it up again.
It's
How
okay.
are you? How are you?
Yes, very good. It's good that you can hear it as well, right? This is very important. It's more important that you hear it and are able to fix it, you know, rather than always making the mistake and not hearing it, you know, like this is a learning opportunity. Of course, every time you do a voice sample of your voice, it's a learning opportunity. So this is very solid. So typically it's very common that at the end of sentences, our voice might want to relax. That's okay. If I speak for a long amount of time, maybe I might want to go like really low and just like let my larynx drop, let things relax a little bit. Not that it is stressed, but because as you're saying, you're, I suppose, using your mask voice 80%, 90% of the time. If you had to like ratio out how much you use the fem voice and how much you use the mask voice, how much would you say that you use both?
I honestly only use this when I'm trying to train it, so not very often at all.
Okay, wow. Well, given that you don't even use it that much, it's pretty impressive. Okay, so yeah, let's see. Can you read the next sentence for me, please?
I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
Very good. Next one.
I forgot to take my hormones.
Very good. Next one.
Are you really sure about that?
Very good. Next one.
I think I have a craving for pickles.
Let's try it once more. I feel like there was a bit of a darker sound on think.
I think I have a craving for pickles.
Very good. So what you did here is you substituted a low pitch that was showing a little bit of a darker resonance, and you did, I think I have a craving for pickles, and then you did, I think I have a craving for pickles. Now, for the sake of making sure that you can also use the low pitches of your range, try to do, I think, like try to go low like you did in the first time, because chances are you probably will be speaking by using those lower pitches when you're not really thinking about them. So you have to be sure that you also get the low pitches of your range more feminine, more bright. Give it another try.
I think I have a craving for pickles.
That's very good. I think, as opposed to I think, right? Very good. Okay, solid. So yeah, you might want to still work on some things. Generally, I feel like the main kinks that you want to work on is definitely those lower pitches, right? At the end of sentences, it's pretty common to happen, especially if you're never using your fem voice or not all that much, and your kind of brain sets a default to your mask voice, right? Both in terms of what you expect to come out of your mouth, and also in terms of where it resets the vocal folds and the larynx. With time, the more you use a voice, the more that voice will kind of become the new neutral for your voice, right? Like, I'm not saying that I wake up like this in the morning, but I definitely don't
wake up like this in the morning either.
You know, like, there's a middle ground, and during the years of practicing and using my voice has gotten closer and closer to the fem voice that I use in day-to-day life, all right? To the point where I don't really need to think about it. So, very good job, fella. Definitely watch out for those lower pitches in your range. Don't be afraid of lower pitches. Definitely use them in your voice. And yeah, best of luck with the rest.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, fella. Applause for fella. You killed it. All right, clapping noises. Oh, nice EP there. I like that. Okay, so next up, we'll be having someone who wants to masculinize their voices. Who might be interested? If you are, please come up forward. Masculinizing the voice. Someone who has not been on stage? No, no one? Oh, Cookie, you want to go up on stage? Okay, come up on stage. Oh, wow. That was a jump. Hello. Welcome. Applause for Cookie or Cinna. Oh, yippee. Okay. All right, welcome here. We got 10 minutes starting now. All right, so, hello, Cookie. You want to learn how to masculinize your voice, correct?
Yes, yes.
All right, we can definitely take a look at that. So, have you done any voice work prior to this workshop or not at all?
Yes, I have. For the last 11 years, I've been actually feminizing my voice, but I've kind of been trying to relearning how to kind of go to deeper tone again, because I've kind of forgot that in my muscle memory. It's been a struggle. I don't sound as natural, and I want to try to achieve that. I've been working on it for the past couple of weeks now, following your classes.
Okay.
And it's been great resources, but I'd love to try it out, on stage.
Okay, awesome, great. So you started. So you said that you have been feminizing your voice for 11 years.
Yes.
Damn, that's a long, long time. Okay. Have you ever had a mask voice, if I may ask?
I did. So
do you remember?
Yes, 11, yeah. I do, but so my only real reference is my sibling, and their voice has always been deeper than mine, but they're my only resource.
Right.
I kind of I do have some older material when I was younger, but I was much younger. And around that time, I was still kind of like, experimenting with my voice when I was still, exploring my gender identity. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So how about you go ahead and show me how far you have gotten down with your voice?
Okay. One more real quick.
Putting you on the spot, of course. Sorry.
Ooh. All right. Okay. So if I, oh my God.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
If I try to force my larynx downward, this is how I can, as far as I can really go. I do this thing where I try to hold my Adam's apple downward. Now, I don't force it in a way
with your hand, or
yes, with
just
my hand. Yes.
You probably don't want to do that.
Well, I don't do it in a way that's too forceful, but it's I see it as like a guide. Like I hold my hand down in a way where like I want to keep my Adam's apple below that line, and I don't hold it there forcefully, but yeah, like I try to like use it as like a guide. Yeah.
It's good to have it as a guide, but yeah, definitely don't like maintain it there. You might like end up like with like a squished voice, if you push too much. Don't do this, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Only do it under the supervision of a professional. Okay. First thing I heard is like you went like down there and then like you kind of like shot back up, kind of like that at a point.
Okay.
So that was interesting. So have you tried working with? Well, I suppose I hear a lot of breath sound rather. So I suppose you already know how to work with with voiceless exercises, right?
Yes, I used to be a vocalist when I was younger.
Okay, nice, awesome. So with that whisper exercise, can you reliably keep a whisper that is on the darker side of things? Like if you do a whisper like,
hello, good morning.
Does it end up doing something like, hello, good morning? Or does it kind of stay even down there?
Good. Hello. Oh, now I'm really trying to force it. Hello. Good morning. Oh, yeah. I noticed it's actually going upwards. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
Good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Ooh, that's a vibe. Hello. Good morning. Okay. So, let's see. I want to do some resonance exercises. Okay. So. First and foremost, I do want you to try and take an ah sound and make it as dark as you can. So try the following. Careful there. You did and you did an O at the end. So you let your lips round, and an O sound is darker than an ah. But that means that you're achieving the darkness with your mouth rather than with your, larynx, right? So keeping the vowel neutral is really important. If you struggle with hearing the vowel sound, so that's more like an aw sound, like in pot, right? But it's getting close, right? Yeah, so like, And so what I recommend you do is like use a word as a guide, right? So for example, we have pat that cat and not pat fat cat. I know you love pat fat cat, but no, we just pat that cat, the th. Okay, so let's try the following. Pat,
pat, that cat.
Okay. Good.
Pot.
You did this.
Pot. That. Cut.
Pat. That. Cat.
Pat. That. Cat.
Good. Okay. See? So just like with pitch, da 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 da, right? Resonance can be heard on like a scale. Right? And so you can use that voiceless exercise to your advantage to understand and use your resonance more efficiently like that. So this is mostly for exploration purposes, right? You're eventually not going to want to speak in whispers your entire life. And so that's really good. Now, we have tried this. Now let's try and bridge from the whisper into a full voice, like this.
Pot, pot, pot. Pot that cat.
Give it a try.
Pat, 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 pat. Pat that cat.
Nice, very good.
Pat
Pat.
that cat.
Yeah,
Pot that cat. Very good. Getting to somewhere really good.
okay, cool. Now, you have achieved here, right there, a very mask sound, although a softer masculine voice, like,
Pat that cat. You know, like not a full on pat that cat.
you know, because you lack
Oh, that's
the
a
vocal
lot of
fold
resonance.
mass. That's a lot of.
Wow.
Dark resonance.
But what I want to showcase here is that, and I have to ask this question, if it's not too personal, have you been taking any hormones in your life, if any, or?
Actually, yeah. 2 days ago was my 11-year anniversary.
Of estrogen, I presume?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so another thing I want to say is that if you have testosterone, your voice is modified in 3 main points, right? The larynx drops,
Creating a darker voice. Then the vocal folds, they get longer and vibrate slower. Then you get like this sound. And the third thing that testosterone does is it makes your vocal folds much thicker. And that thickness adds a lot to the boominess of the voice.
effectively giving you a full, boomy, dark, low-pitched mask voice, right? But that's not true for everyone, and testosterone affects us differently. So you might have had crazy T levels, testosterone levels, sorry, and but you might not know if that touched your voice too much, you know? Now, with that out of the way, if you remember that you had a masculine voice that was a lot stronger, there is a very real thing, which is that, you know, even with like the testosterone kind of like does a very low maintenance on the muscles of our body. It kind of like keeps the muscles more, well, kind of muscle. I don't know how to explain this, but the vocal folds are also affected by this. And so if you have been on estrogen for 11 years, chances are that the vocal folds might have become more thin as a result of the lack of testosterone over time, right? But generally it's a pretty minor change, but at least one that is strong enough that you might have to do a bit more behavioral work to masculinize your voice than if you had testosterone passively in your bloodstream. Okay, so with that said, I think that we are lacking 2 things. You got a really dark resonance, very good, but we also want to achieve a low pitch and a thicker vocal fold mass, right? So how about you slide from your highest pitch and go down to your
Lowest pitch.
that you can do. Give it a try.
All right.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Nice. Can you say that mad brat sat on that flat mat? It's written on the board.
Sorry, that was very melodic. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I have to do that again.
Do it again. It's okay.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. That mad brat
Nice.
sat on that flat mat.
And now add a bit of intonation.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on the flat mat.
Okay, very good.
That mad brat sat on the flat mat.
Okay. You might want to start something like that starts kind of higher and then consistently goes low.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on the flat mat. It's more. Okay,
Very
I'll try it
good.
again.
Okay.
That mad brat sat on the flat mat.
I think you kind of let resonance take over again. That mad brat son on a flat mud, you know? So now you have a really low pitch. You were able to go down to C3. So C3 is like around here, right? Chances are you might, with voice work, perhaps go even lower than that. You said that you kind of like were working on your voice a lot before, so you probably already know kind of like what your limit of your range is, I suppose, right? But you know how pitches work. You kind of like know how to read those, right? Yeah, so like right now it might be at C3, and so it's like around here, and you can talk like monotonously. That mad brat. Now you have this low pitch. You're kind of doing it brighter. You're kind of like doing instead of So for this, pat.
Combining the two, you can get a really dark, low sound, and this is still just C3, by the way. No, that one was not C3. Okay, that is getting lower, but
yeah.
That.
Nice.
Sorry. Ooh.
That's it. Ooh.
I'm trying to put the resonance more in my
That's
chest. Is right?
You just did a B2, by the way. So you went one semitone lower than what you did before.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going down. You're learning. Nice. I don't really talk in chest terms. I understand that you might have certain things that you feel with your body, but I don't really use sympathetic vibrations. That's what they're called, you know, when like two bodies like enter in resonance and vibrate. Since we all have different bodies, I don't find it really good to convey what people feel. What you might feel as a chest vibration might not be the same for me, you know? So rather than like putting it down in your chest, maybe what you should like you're already thinking of the larynx, right? So
because like you're getting a darker sound, you know, like you also like resonate with lower frequencies, right? So like you get that much boomier lower sound.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really good. Good job. So what you want to do, combine the darkness of the whisper, pot, learn to make it more consistent, not pot, that, got, but
Pot, that, got.
And then use that low pitch that you did, C3, and even you did a B2, so there's a lot more to explore there. I think that with work, you can probably regain the range that you have lost to time. All right, that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Applause for Cookie. And now, the second, and I'm afraid the last person to work on feminizing their voices. Who is interested? I have seen someone on the right, anyone on the left interested? I don't think I've ever seen you. Katamari, come up on stage. Come on. All right, applause for Katamari. Oh, which side do you want to be on? Yep, this works too. Yep, hi, yeah. All right, hello. We got 10 minutes starting from now. All right, hello, Katamari. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Okay, awesome. So, is this the first time that you ever have been in one of the workshops I can speak today? Is this the first workshop you've been a part of?
No, I've attended the one like 2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, must be 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Okay, and have you already done some work on your voice since that time? Have you tried some things?
No, not really. I've tried to get around to it, but I just either forget or just decide it's a little too boring for now. So I just set it to the side, yeah.
Understandably, there's no rush. You work on your voice whenever you want to, okay? Now, have you tried some exercises like the resonance one, like pat, 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 or rather the other way around, pat, 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 and then bridged into a brighter, more femme sound, like the femme voice you're trying to target?
I haven't really been doing much like warm-ups or practices for feminization.
All right, well then let us do that together. All right, so make sure that your mic is properly unmuted, or we can just try this really simply. Can you give me a very, very, very quiet whisper, like, hello, how are you?
Hi, how are you today?
Okay, I hear you, good. Now, let's try from this. We're gonna try and take like a dark whisper. You're gonna say, pat that cat, but really dark, like,
pat that cat.
Okay?
Pat that cat.
Very dark, very good. And now you're going to increasingly pat the cat higher and higher.
Pat,
pat, pat, pat, pat, pat, pat.
Pat, 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 pat.
And from there, yeah, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Very good, okay? Just be careful not to warp the vowel too much. That doesn't turn into pet that cat. Make sure it stays on pat that cat. You were almost there, but very, very bright ah sound. Okay, very good. And now from there, we're going to try and bridge from the whisper, because whisper is voiceless. The vocal folds are not vibrating. The air is just passing through them. So we're going to try and close the vocal folds more. Pat, pat, pat. And we're going to do Okay? Give it a try. Go to the bright pat and then bridge into the full voice.
Pat, pat, pat.
Okay, very good. But there's one hiccup here. Pat. Like, technically your voice is super bright there, but it's just a little bit cartoonish. And it's kind of because you are at a really low pitch. You just tried to feminize, what was the pitch? But it's a C#3, so you're like here, right? And so that's not a problem. Technically, you can also talk at a C#3 in a fem voice, like just more quietly, like so, right? So it just means that you have the combination of a really bright sound, but also of a really thick vocal fold mass, right? A really heavy vocal fold mass, creating this sound. So what you can do is either choose a higher pitch, so might be easier to feminize, or you can take that lower pitch and make the vocal fold more thin, more light. You get a lighter vocal fold mass. Pat that cat. See? All right, so let's try and choose a higher pitch. First of all, try to match my pitch here. So I'm going to do a pitch and you try to match it. Very good. You just did G3, this pitch here. Okay? So very much in the fem range, much more easy to feminize. Now you have this sound, but it still sounds masculine because the space is really big. So now we do pat, 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 pat. Pat that cat. Give it a try.
Pat, 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 pat.
Very good. And say, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Very good. Okay, first step into fem voicehood. Yay! Awesome. Okay, so right there, it still was showing some symptoms of the thicker vocal folds, right? Pat that cat, right? And so because we have that sound, we definitely do want to talk a little bit about vocal fold mass and how we can soften it, okay? So typically, what is vocal fold mass? Well, vocal fold mass is referring to, well, how thick your vocal folds are. And simply put, do you see the board? So simply put here, you're going to have vocal folds that are either really heavy, really thick, and produce a much more full sound, right? Like the vocal folds are literally thicker, and they're vibrating in a thicker pattern, so they create a much more buzzy, more strong voice. Amazing for cartoon characters, but in day-to-day life voice, you have to admit, it's kind of, one, it's difficult to use, and it can be tiring, but two, it kind of showcases, well, that the vocal folds are heavy. We kind of are trained subconsciously to understand and read gender in people's voices, right? The main thing is pitch, then the second one is resonance, or rather they're like a pretty equal level. And then you have vocal fold mass, because as I stated before, a lot of testosterone encourages the vocal folds to become thicker, right? And having no testosterone exposure to the vocal folds kind of just keeps the vocal folds in a more lighter configuration, right? And so, thankfully, you can just work on relaxing the vocal folds. So another thing is, as you might imagine, something that's really heavy needs a strong force to push it. And something that is much lighter just needs a very gentle force to push it. So remember what I said about the airflow before? That's right. We're going to work on the airflow and try to reduce that. I think it was pretty... it was showing quite a bit in Pat That Cat when you did it. You were doing this Pat That Cat. Not quite like Pat That Cat. So already by default, and maybe that's like an artifact from your masculine voice, you push a lot of air. So reducing how much air you push can help you achieve a quieter voice. So this time, instead of saying Pat That Cat, you're going to say really quietly, okay? Give it a try. Very good. Careful there. You did that cat. So the last one you were pushing a bit more air. Give it another try. Perfect. Super soft. Let's say soft, okay? And let's try and go pat that cat. Pat that cat. Okay. All right. So from there, can you say pat that cat? Like, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Okay, much better, right? Pat that cat, as opposed to pat that cat, right? Huge improvement. Surely, with enough practice, you can probably learn to modulate this as well to achieve super quiet voices. Pat that cat. Or super heavy voices. Pat that cat. Because voices are fun and it's best to be able to kind of do whatever you want with it, right? Now, you have done all of this. How about you try and read that sentence with that newfound sound? You can reset your voice if you want to, of course. You don't have to start from nothing. But you can try if you want to.
Wait, which sentence?
Let's do the first one. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, wow, that's really good. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Okay, very good. Now let's try and break that monotony and do the following. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Change the pitch around. You go.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, very good. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. So I feel like you were using pitches, yes, but the ones that were going back low again and bringing back in, because your low pitches seem to have a lot of vocal fold mass in them. So you kind of brought back in that heavier sound. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. So try it again, but as you are going towards lower pitches, be sure to really soften your voice. Use less air, right? That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Okay? Give it a try.
Right. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, that was good, but you were a little bit going too low in pitch. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Okay, let's try a bit higher. Match my pitch. Sounds great. And now read, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
And now try this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
And from the same pitch, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Very good. And now try the following. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. I think.
Very good. Okay. Except for even like the end here. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. That might have ended up like a little bit too low, but that's very good. So basically here, you already have done a femme voice. One that does have like a little bit of an issue of heavy vocal folds, right? But when you think about it, you know, you are able to make your voice softer, and it sounds really convincing. I think, as you might have been able to tell, when you were not moving your pitch, it was more stable, right? And it was actually showing a really good femme voice there too. So be sure that you work your femme voice at pitches that are high enough so that you don't have to think of vocal fold mass too much, but you definitely do want to tackle that problem, because I've also heard your voice be a little bit thicker at higher pitches, because it's not exclusive to lower pitches. It's just that lower pitches have a tendency to make our vocal folds thicker. Okay, so basically the takeaway for this is watch out for the low pitches, watch out for the increased vocal fold mass, understand it's just a behavior thing that you kind of like to work against for a little bit, and you will eventually get the grasp of it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Good job so far, Katamari. I hope you have a good rest of your vocal journey and hope you get your voice as soon as possible. All right. Applause for Katamari. This is really long. Yep. Thank you. All right. So, last person of the day, or actually for me it's the evening, but it doesn't really matter. So, this time I'll have someone who wants to learn to masculinize their voice. Anyone interested? I have seen Plushy Puppy here. Have you already been on stage before? Yes, no? Raise your hand if you have. No, you have not been? No, okay. Okay, come on stage. Come on, come on, come on. Applause for Plushy Puppy. Okay. Hello. Welcome.
Hi.
First time here?
Nervous.
Nervous. It's okay. Pretend they're not here. They don't exist. They're a figment of our imagination. They're not real. Okay? You are real, but they're not real. They're not real. Don't look at the camera. Don't look at the camera. Okay. So welcome. Since we're a little bit late on time, I'll only have 8 minutes. That's okay with you?
Yeah.
Let's get started. All right. So welcome. Do I call you Plushy or Puppy, or do I call you 15? Okay, maybe not 15.
You call me Plushy.
All right, sounds good. All right, nice to meet you, Plushy. So, what have you already done with your voice? If you have done anything, have you tried some exercises on your own? And even prior to those workshops, do you have already kind of some experience with voice in general?
Mm-mm.
Okay, no experience
I haven't done
whatsoever.
anything.
You haven't done anything? Okay, we're here to change that today. So, that being said, we're going to try and do two things. First of all, try to get to a pitch that's as low and as comfortable as possible in your range, and also try and find a resonance, or rather learn to make the vocal tract that you have a lot bigger to achieve a darker sound, so that you can get really close to a mask voice. Okay? So let's give this a try. First of all, I want you to give me a whisper, and we have to test if your noise suppression is on or off. Let's see, can you give me a very gentle whisper like, hello, how are you? Awesome, it seems like it works. Perfect. So now, from there, I want you to say pat that cat on a bright sound, and I'm going to bring that pat darker and darker. Pat, 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 pat. Give it a try.
So, wait, can you repeat that? Sorry.
I'm sorry?
Can you repeat that?
Oh, yeah, no worries. Was I laggy or... Okay,
I
it's okay.
barely hear.
Okay, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so I'm going to be louder on purpose, but you don't have to be loud, okay? Unless you gotta hear yourself better. So, pat, 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 pat. So basically going darker, okay? Give it a try. Nice, that's really dark. Okay. And can you say, pat that cat? Pat that cat. That's awesome, really dark. Can you say, hello, how are you?
I can't.
I'm not sure. Did you struggle to do it, or did the mic just not pick your voice up?
A mix of both?
A mix of both? It's okay. You got a really dark pat there, though, before. Do you... Yes, like that. Very good. So careful there, you did, hello, how are... And the U was so dark. Yo! Right? You could, like, be a metal screamer here. Yo! Right? I don't know. Yo! Anyways, all right, so great stuff. Now, the goal here will be to help you, or rather to get you to get that dark sound and be able to sustain it. Now, you might not have a really prominent Adam's apple, but if you put your hand and you put it on your neck very gently, can you somewhat feel a bump at all?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit? Okay, very good. And so if you feel that, now what you want to be doing is do the pat, 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 like pat, 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 and kind of see for yourself how the bump travels down, so that you get a better muscle memory and physical understanding of how your voice gets darker. Okay? Give it a try. Pat, 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 pat. Pat, 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 pat. Nice, very good. Yeah, I know. It's pretty damn cool. It allows you to do things like, hello, row, row. It's really fun. It's really cool stuff. So yeah. All right, so now that you've done this, we're going to try and go to your lowest pitch, or at least the lowest comfortable. There's no point to go like
crazy low if you like can't sustain the voice.
You know, there's no point to that. So just give me a slide from your highest pitch down to your lowest pitch. Okay? So basically, give it a try. Okay. Ooh, so around here. Ooh. Ooh, okay, nice. Ooh. That's a very solid E3. That's right in between most ranges. So, like, can be feminine or masculine. That ooh can be ooh, really masculine, or it can be ooh, really feminine. So it really matters here how you're going to shape your resonance, okay? So do you think you can talk kind of easily enough on that E3 pitch? Like, ooh, hello, how are you? Can you give that a try?
Hello, how are you?
Ooh, so you were going a little bit higher here. Ooh, hello, how are you? Let's try this. Ooh, hello, hello, hello. Give that a try.
Hello, hello, hello.
Okay, you're here. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yes. Yes. Keep going. Hello, hello. Yes, like that. Great. Awesome. Hello. Yeah, great. And so right now you're doing it like hello. So we want to make that sound darker. Okay. First of all, I want to make sure that you are able to jump back and forth between like your current pitch back to that low pitch. So can you try this? Hello. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Okay. Hello. Hello. That's F sharp 3. So not quite as low as hello as this one.
Hello.
Okay, so go back to low pitch. Hello. So it's here. Hello. You're here. Ooh. Okay, so this is a bit tricky, right? Like you're not doing exactly the same starting pitch. So you are effectively doing the scales, but you're just not starting at the same point. Okay, that's fine. Now we're gonna try and, so like with the limited time we have, we're going to try and match together the low pitch with the darker resonance. So we can do this in two ways. Either we start with a dark sound, a dark whisper, and then bridge into that low pitch, or we can try to find that low pitch again and then make that darker. Okay? So I'm going to try first the resonance method with you, or the resonance approach. So let's try this. Pat, pat, pat. And from there, hello. Give it a try.
Wait.
You had it.
My brain just went blank.
It's okay.
Pat, pot, hot, oh,
oh. Okay. The whisper again, the whisper. You went to a voiced sound, so you weren't listening for the right property, right? Oh. That's how big or how small your vocal tract is. So basically all your neck area. And that's the pitch. So that's how fast your vocal folds vibrate. Okay? The conflation can be really easy. You might mix them up very easily. But just know, like, just one sounds like you're speaking or singing, and the other one just sounds like you're being really, really quiet. Okay? So the whisper. Let's try it again. Pat, pat, pat. Pat, pat, pat. Nice. And keep that there. Pat that cat. Pat that cat. Good. And now, pat that cat.
Pot.
Okay, so what happened here is that you went from a whisper directly jumped to right, to a full voice sound. So you want to basically do a slide, or rather like a gradient from the whisper. Yes. Yeah, like that. Pot that cat. Can you say, that mad brat sat on that flat mat?
Okay. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Okay, pretty good. Now try to bring the pitch lower. Then try again. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Still with that open throat feeling of like the larynx being down. And remember, you can always use your hand.
On that flat
Yeah.
mat.
Yeah.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. So like right now, you're maybe a little bit too breathy. So you might want to close the vocal folds a bit more. Try to do that mad brat.
No.
Yeah.
I lost it.
No, you had it. That was so good. Yeah.
That mad brat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Nice. Okay.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Okay, good.
Okay, nice. So that's about the time we have here today, but very good stuff. First time here, right? Yay! So, as you have seen, you've discovered for yourself, the feeling and the position of the larynx can change with the whispers. It's really important that you learn how to go to that dark whisper, pat, 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 and you can reliably stay down. You can test it with the whisper a little bit.
Pat, that cat, that mad brat.
And just read with it a little bit. Don't do it too much. It can be very tiring to the voice, okay? So don't fatigue your voice too much, okay? And now with that said, your pitch can go down all the way to E3. But unfortunately, perhaps because you don't use that low pitch all that often, you kind of were staying more like G3. And for example, like you were doing this pitch here, E3, right there. And you were mostly shooting around this area, right? It's like kind of like this higher pitch, right? And so there's definitely like a lot to be done here. Like you can learn to better keep the resonance dark, and you can learn to keep your pitch as low as possible. And if not, why not find even lower pitches as you go during your practice, okay? So I find it really important and really good to practice your voice with some like pitch monitoring apps. I have a few here on the board that you can see. So you have Nail the Pitch on iOS, which is free to use. You have Vocal Pitch Monitor on Android, which is also free to use. That's my favorite go-to app. Then you have Voice Tools, which is good, but it will tell you what a feminine and a masculine range is. And I don't find that really productive. I find it better productive to like understand what pitch you are using, and then kind of like work on them, because some of these ranges, can be like, you can basically speak in that app and say, hello, does my voice sound femme? And it will say 100% femme when, it's not taking resonance into account. So take it with a grain of salt. It's a good tool, but you have to understand better how voice works to use it. And then if you don't want to work on your phone, you can always use Singing Carrots. Not sponsored for any of this, of course. But yeah. So yeah, practice your resonance, practice your pitch, try and bring your pitch range more and more down, and definitely record your voice. This app here, Vocal Pitch Monitor, has a little record option that you can just speak in, and then it will talk back to you. And I didn't put the sound, so it doesn't work. Okay, great, epic fail. Okay, so yeah, anyways, thank you, Flashy, for coming up on stage. Really brave from you. And I hope that your voice progress goes along the way you intend to, and I hope to see you in one of those next workshops coming up. All right, please, a round of applause for Plushy. Now, let's see, do we have any questions from the Discord or perhaps the Twitch stream?
One question from Twitch and a couple on Discord, so I'll ask the Twitch one first.
Yes.
Let's see here.
Don't want to keep Alistair too long.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, I have a question. How could I make my voice manage vocal weight anytime I get my voice to a higher brightness? I'm having trouble with vocal weight when I make my voice brighter.
Okay, gotcha. So you're struggling with vocal weight as you make your voice brighter. So there's some things to take into account. First of all, you might start with a masculine voice,
like this one, which like sounds like has a normal amount of vocal weight, and because it does in this context. But if you bring the resonance brighter,
if you don't change the vocal fold mass, it will quite naturally become a lot buzzier, right? Because now you have
a vocal weight that works well with a masculine voice
squished into a space that's more meant for like a feminine resonance, right? And so that's kind of what is happening. So chances are you might be dealing with vocal weight because of that, because you are still figuring out all the mechanisms and all that good stuff. What I can recommend is that you might want to start your masculine voice or your baseline voice much softer. So like instead of starting you might want to start more like then bring your pitch up a little bit and then you can bring the resonance up, make the resonance brighter, and then thus you would basically have a smaller space and you would already have prepped your voice to be softer by default. Okay, so this is answer number one. Again, I don't know what you do with your voice. Chances are maybe you have your pitch too low in your range, so explore those two options. Start raising the resonance with a softer mask voice, and then bring the pitch up, of course, and then okay, so start with the mask voice, make the mask voice soft, so then make sure that the pitch is high enough. That's like around here, right? So that might be difficult to feminize. Then you have like a soft, higher pitched mask voice, and then you bring the resonance up. And then you got the fem voice you want. Okay? And, you know, it might be something as simple as, hey, your pitch is way too low, and you're trying to feminize a pitch that's like really, really low, and it just like ends up sounding like that. So, yeah. I hope that answers your question. Awesome. Alrighty. So then I'll be taking, well, I first want to stop the Twitch stream. Thank you, Twitch crowd, for hanging out and watching this.